Hey guys, so this is the first video I've made for Google Classroom. I have no idea if it's gonna work, but I wanted to give you an update. Sorry if I'm talking quiet, the baby's sleeping. So I talked to Mr. Henson yesterday because I was trying to get some clarity on what's going on with online testing for the pharmacy certification. He said he would call me back. He called me back after he talked to a couple people because I wasn't really getting answers, and he said that NHA is still working on how they're going to do the online proctoring. They basically don't really have an answer, but they will in the next couple of days. But you could be testing as early as next week. So how it's going to work, I am not giving the test. Originally they said that I would be, but then they changed it to where it's going to be an online proctoring system similar to what you guys do for your college classes. So it'll be something where you sit in the room. There'll be rules like you have to have a webcam, and you have to make sure that your whole body can be seen at a table with nothing else but whatever they allow you to have. And then you will it will be all online. So it's a test that if it's still the same test from last year, it's going to be 120 questions. It's, I think, a 190 is passing out of 300. So it's a weird grading scale. Students in the past have told me they think there are some test questions that are not graded, that they use as like practice questions or I don't know what they call them, but they're like basically questions that are like harder, but they want to see how many people get it right or wrong, and they don't count it towards you. So my students have also speculated that some of the test questions are weighted differently. I don't really know if that's true, but that's just what some of the students the last couple of years have said. So if that's the case, you don't really know which ones are going to be graded and which ones aren't, but that's why you want to be prepared. If you don't do the test, like say they allow you to do it next week, or they open it up for a certain time period and you take it whenever, if you don't do it during that time, I'm pretty sure you still would be able to take it at a PSI testing center when they reopen. The one in Fort Worth, there's a couple of them, but one of them is going to open June the 2nd. So if you don't feel quite ready, you could probably go then. I just don't know how busy those places are going to be and how booked they're going to be, like how quickly booked they'll be, because they won't be at full capacity. So if you can test, I would say, really study and try to test next week if they allow it. Again, I don't have the full details, so I will keep you updated on that. But you will, it's not like if you don't do it, you won't get the option to test. You still will get the option to test at a later date. But that might be the only option you have, or that might be the only time you have to do it online. So we'll see about that. As far as some test things that I always tell everybody to do that are really important is to go through the entire test and answer what you know. Flag the ones you don't, because it does allow you to flag questions, and then don't forget, but you need to go back to each flag question. And my students that have passed, all of them have done it that way, and they said that they remembered when they went back through and remembered a lot of those questions that they flagged. And it's okay if you flag like half of them, because you may go back and something will jog your memory and you'll remember and you'll get the right answer. So that's a really big one that I tell people to do. I think they give you 2 hours for 120 questions. Most of my students have not used that time, the full time, but I would say to go slow, go through, and that's why it's always better to go through and answer all the ones you already know, and then go back, because if you're about 50 to 80% sure, or 50 to 75% or whatever, like if you're fairly sure or certain, then answer it. If you're not sure, under 50%, you're like, you're really not sure at all, I would say flag it, but don't forget to go back. But that's a good testing strategy to have. I'm trying to think of anything else. I'm posting all of the practice questions, so you can look at those, the ones that I gave you, that big packet. Those are questions that have been on the test before. Those are questions that are, you know, there's always a few on there that are always on there. So look over that. I'm gonna make another video, if this video works, on probably like the top 50 questions that students have told me are on the test. And I'll post a little mini like question. It's like it's the stuff that the kids came back and told me last year they remembered that was on the test, and I made like a document with it all. So I'm going to I'm gonna make a video talking about all of those questions, and then so that's a good review for you guys, and then you can look at that document as well. But a lot of it's going to come down to, and this is what my students have told me every year, it's like a comprehensive test. There's everything we've been over the past year, you know. There are going to be some obscure questions, and hopefully there's, you know, they're the ones that don't count. But, you know, if you guys have paid attention, if you go over everything again, and know things pretty well, I think you should do okay. But it does require studying, so you can't just go in blindly and be like, oh, hopefully I'll pass it. Usually you won't if you do that, if you have that strategy. So really take a few days, if not like in the next week, every day, to look over questions. Work with your parents or siblings or friends or whoever you're around to quiz you on things, because that's going to be a huge help. Okay guys, I will update you soon. Bye.